Ah, guys, welcome to the show. I'm Tony Katz. The show is called Tony Katz Today. Just grabbing a cigar here, and I was talking to producer Landon. I don't work from the home station. I work from home, and so some people dropped off some goods for me, a little gift, something from I forget the event right now. Producer Landon, take it. Give the stuff to family or whatever. See if there's anything cool in there and enjoy it. Absolutely, enjoy it. So we're going to do a radio show, guys. You have got the United States and you have got Russia meeting in Saudi Arabia. And they're talking about a peace deal.
Look, it's common sense. If you're going to bring both sides together, you have to talk to both sides. And we'll continue to remind everyone, literally within minutes of President Trump hanging up with President Putin, he called and spoke with President Zelensky. So shuttle diplomacy has happened throughout history. It's happened all over the world. We are absolutely talking to both sides. The Secretary of State just met with President Zelensky days ago, along with the vice president, 7 cabinet members in Europe at the same time, really showing the importance of engaging our allies. President Trump spoke with President Macron just yesterday. Prime Minister Starmer is coming to Washington next week. So I think the facts will continue to push back on this notion that our allies haven't been consulted. They are being consulted literally almost on a daily basis.
That's Mike Waltz. He is the National Security Advisor. I'm Tony Katz. The show is called Tony Katz Today. What's going on? How you doing? How's your mother? 833-GOT-TONY. I should do it more in the whole Mark Wahlberg way. It's actually, I do Andy Samberg doing Mark Wahlberg. How's your mother? 833-GOT-TONY. 833-468-8669. 833-GOT-TONY. Now, we've discussed that what Vladimir Zelensky is saying is that he's not going to accept any peace deal whatsoever. He's not going to accept a single peace deal that doesn't have him at the table.
Have you been given any assurances that Ukraine will have an equal seat at the negotiating table?
So I will never accept any decisions between the United States and Russia about Ukraine. Never. And our people, never. And our.
Now, I made the point then, and I make it now. He's not wrong. What else is he going to say? These guys are going to negotiate my peace? What are we talking about? Of course I got to be at the table. What else would you expect the man to say? The question is, does he have to be at the table? I think the rational answer would be yes. At some level of finality, he has to be at the table. So the first thing is first, who's at the table right now? Well, right now, you've got Witkoff, who is the Middle East envoy, who Trump then sent to Russia to get back this guy, Mark Folger, to bring back this teacher who had been in prison for 3.5 years in Russia, foolishly had medical marijuana on him, but did not deserve to spend 3.5 years inside a Soviet gulag. And you say to me, Tony, it's not really gulag. They don't do gulags anymore. I'm going to stick with the idea that if it's a Soviet prison, you can't tell the difference. In 1935 or 2025, you cannot tell the difference, and I don't want to find out. I'm going with gulag. So Witkoff is there. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is there. And you have Mike Waltz, the National Security Advisor. This was the Secretary of State.
The Ukrainians and the Europeans have suggested they feel very sidelined about how the process has played out so far. How do you intend to address their concerns? And will they be incorporated in future meetings in a multilateral way?
Well, the comment I would have on that is that for 3.5 years while this conflict has raged, or 3 years while it's raged, No one else has been able to bring something together like what we saw today because Donald Trump is the only leader in the world that can. So no one is being sidelined here, but President Trump is in a position that he campaigned on to initiate a process that could bring about an end to this conflict. And from that could emerge some very positive things for the United States, for Europe, for Ukraine, for the world. But first it begins by the end of this conflict. And so the only thing President Trump's trying to do is bring about peace. It's what he campaigned on. It's something the world should be thanking President Trump for doing. He's been able to achieve what for 2.5, 3 years, no one else has been able to achieve, which is to begin this process, a serious process. Obviously, a lot of work remains before we have a result, but President Trump's the only one that can do it.
Well, he's not going to say anything else. And so far, Trump has proven himself somebody who can bring people to the table. Bringing Russia to the table there in Saudi Arabia is a big deal. I want to make sure that we all understand each other in all the ways these things need to be understood. First and foremost, not a fan of Ukraine. I don't really have a position on them. To be honest, I never did. I never thought it was a bastion for democracy. I never thought it was the worst place on planet Earth. Russia invaded. Now, you can argue a series of things about how Ukraine has been utilized as a proxy by the United States over the years. I had this conversation just this morning. So much to this conversation that someone referred to me as a Lindsey Graham disciple, to which I said, we are in amongst the rudest things you could say to another human being. Russia is the aggressor here. Of this, there is no doubt. The idea that Russia does not have expansionist ideas, desires, wants, well, that's nutty. That's surreal. I don't believe that at all. Of course, Russia does. The people who say Russia doesn't have these desires, I think, are kidding themselves and fooling themselves. Yes, that includes Tucker Carlson. You can't say that about Tucker. Just did. I would say it to his face and then say, do you want to go grab a drink? Because we disagree about this in a fundamental way. Vladimir Putin is a KGB agent to this day. You're like, Tony, there's no KGB. I'm talking about what lives in the man's heart and soul. He takes it as a personal failing that the Soviet Union fell. His entire desire is the reunification, the growth, the rebirth of Mother Russia. The whole concept of calling Russians back home to reproduce and make babies, that is so the nation can remain, so that the Russian people can continue to exist. Because right now, with those birth rates, they are just simply going to sex themselves out of existence. I cleaned that up for radio, by the way. I'm good like that. This is what's happening. Of course he has an expansionist desire. Russian history is replete with examples. Taking of Crimea is only the proof I need recently. This is unserious to say that he doesn't desire the growth of the nation. The part of the reason that the challenges to the Donbass, to Donetsk and Luhansk, is these people see themselves as ethnic Russians, and he sees this as an opportunity to bring population back, to take land that he would actually argue is his, and then you would see it again. No way should anybody think that any peace deal now would mean a peace deal 10 years from now, at least if Putin is still there in charge, etc. I have no illusions about Vladimir Putin. I also don't have any false view regarding the future of Ukraine. The future of Ukraine is that they're going to have to give up something. It isn't that I want that to be the case. I don't. I know part of me wants this to be the case. We're only discussing what is. And what is they're going to give something up. If Russia wasn't a nuclear power, maybe this conversation would be different. Maybe we could all have a different take on it. But reality is in front of us. And unless you're going to get Europe to amass a serious level of forces to actually fight the Russians back to Moscow and then accept what could happen, Ukraine's going to give up land. Now, I want to know where in that analysis anybody thinks I have it wrong. Where in that analysis have I suddenly slipped into neocon world? And where in that analysis am I just nothing more than a Trump humper? This is the real world we're in. And we should be clear that Europe has not done anywhere near enough to protect its own border. They haven't done anywhere near enough. Europe has not moved in a way strong enough. And if it wasn't for the United States providing bullets and bombs, Ukraine already doesn't exist. Now, Ukraine did absolutely spectacular work. I mean, truly amazing work in the opening days of this war 3 years ago. They pushed the Russians back. They pushed the Russians around because it turns out the Russians aren't so good as a military. They expose themselves as being absolutely weak, horrific, undisciplined fools, which is why I go back to you have to be willing to push them back to Moscow, and then you got to deal with a nuclear Putin. I brought it up for a reason. It's the only thing keeping Vladimir Putin in power. The only thing allowing him to throw more bodies at this, whether they're Russian bodies or North Korean bodies. Europe has not done enough at all. And if it wasn't for the United States, the Ukraine, even with that incredible first blitz of response and being able to hold the line, they'd be gone already. So if anybody were to ask, who does the United States think they are to think that they can negotiate a peace? They're the only reason Ukraine hasn't already been dropped. We are the only reason Ukraine has not fallen. I think that's a pretty good analysis. This is the National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz.
What does an enduring and successful end look like? Did you present any proposals to the Russians today?
Well, there are some underlying principles. This needs to be a permanent end to the war and not a temporary end as we've seen in the past. We know just the practical reality is that there is going to be some discussion of territory and there's going to be discussion of security guarantees. Those are just fundamental basics that will undergird and underlie any type of discussion. But I think the most important part is the president has stated his desire, his determination to end this war, to end the killing that is going on, the death and destruction that is happening as this war, goes on and on, month after month after month, and the killing fields of eastern and southern Ukraine is unacceptable. It is not in the interest of either country. It's not in the interest of the world, and certainly not in the interest of the United States and Europe. So all of those things will drive the negotiations going forward. And as you can see, President Trump is determined to move very quickly. We just had a head of state phone call, the first in years, and here we are less than a week later at the highest level of the U.S. and Russian government, and we expect to continue to drive that pace to not only end the war, but then to unlock what could be very productive and stabilizing relationships going forward.
So it is clear to anybody who is paying attention that what the United States is doing is trying to end its own bleeding of dollars, to end the bleeding of the Ukrainian people. That's what's happening. That is obvious. That does not make anybody a warmonger. To note that the Ukraine, as National Security Advisor Waltz there said, will end up giving up land. It doesn't make anybody a warmonger. To note that Vladimir Putin is absolutely a guy with expansionist views. It is easy to see. So here we are with the United States and Russia at a table. When that first part gets done, that's when Ukraine will come in. And Ukraine will be told, here's what's happening, otherwise you're going to die. And you're like, that's terrible. It's just reality. It's what's going to happen. And Ukraine will say, well, we need this concession. And then it will be Ukraine at the table working out the peace deal. That's how it's going to go down. If asked, there's no part of this that I like. On a very, very base level for the United States, I think the reaction to Ukraine from the political right has been one that is not thoughtful. These are my people, and I can't imagine the conversation of we don't care what happens to Ukraine. It's a nonsense conversation, because to understand Putin would to know that Ukraine is not the end. Now, the counter to that argument from me is supporting Ukraine was the right thing to do. I would never let them be a NATO nation. You have to be nuts to let Ukraine be a NATO nation. You have to want a constant state of war to let Ukraine be a NATO nation. Ukraine's in an absolutely horrific spot. Geographically, they're in a horrific spot. And they're in a horrific spot while Putin is in power, while Russia is still Russia, unable to get itself out of this communist mindset, this USSR, longing for Mother Russia desire. Don't let them be a part of NATO. No, NATO's too big as it is, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Too big as it is. This is not for the faint of heart, and nothing ever goes the way you want it to, and it certainly doesn't go easy. But Rubio and Witkoff and Waltz aren't there just to look pretty. They're there to set the groundwork so the deal can get done, so Trump can say, I brought peace. Because the first rule of Trumpism is Trump wins, and the second rule of Trumpism is a deal can always be made as long as it adheres to the first rule of Trumpism. And Zelensky's about to learn that lesson, whether he likes it or not. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. All right, guys, welcome back. Man, I don't know what it is about the political left making fun of plane crashes, but holy cow. This is nuts. I have got that. I've got the audit of Fort Knox. So we're going to get into the gross that is the bigot Mehdi Hassan. My take, bigot, what do I care what he says about me? But there are people who actually support people like him, and that has to come to an end. An absolute end. So I've got that coming up. And also, we will talk about this Delta to crash, and this all comes into it. So desperate to blame Trump for everything. We always talk about the political left always overplays their hand. Well, the left always overplays their hand. And then the call for the lone wolf. When you hear it, you're going to lose your mind. Let me grab this as well. Just getting some things together for you guys. You can find everything I do over at TonyKatz.com, by the way. Be a part of that. And the book, Let's Go Barbecue. I've got 2 books, Let's Go Barbecue and Let's Go Bourbon. The Let's Go Bourbon book is like a bourbon reader, right? Simple, easy. It's got the rules, the laws of bourbon, some cool quotes, right? Great for the bathroom. Like that's exactly what we did it for. It was the first book, kind of feel it out. The second one, a little more storytelling, a little more understanding of how we kind of developed into understanding food the way we do. Great recipes about barbecue, great stories about barbecue. I think you're going to love it. Give it to the barbecue person in your life. Let's Go BBQ. Recipes, tips, and tales from the pit. That's at Amazon.com. And we're coming back to the radio show. So that's always exciting. I'm digging this lighting. I think we got this part figured out. Almost looks professional. I think it looks professional. You tell me. Thank you, producer Landon.
There was an Inspector General audit last year that showed over an 8-year period, the Social Security Administration made almost $72 billion in improper payments, a little less than 1% of payments in that time period. Now, the report also says that most of these improper payments were overpayments, not payments to deceased people or people who didn't qualify to receive these payments. At the same time, Jose, this effort by DOGE is to go through this agency like every other and try to weed out waste and fraud.
$71 billion in improper payments is less than 1%. That number is flabbergasting. Good gosh. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. We are going to audit Fort Knox. I'm in. No problem there. This started with a tweet from the guys over at Zero Hedge. Great site. They do some nice work. And they put out, it would be great if Elon Musk could take a look inside Fort Knox. Of course, talking about DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. It would be great if Elon Musk could take a look inside Fort Knox just to make sure the 4,580 tons of U.S. gold is there. Last time anyone looked was 50 years ago in 1974. Elon Musk responds to this, and he says, surely it's reviewed at least every year, ? To which Senator Rand Paul writes back, nope, let's do it. There is no one you could speak to. No one, it doesn't matter race, religion, socioeconomic strata. If you told them, we once put 4,500 tons of gold in a vault, and we haven't looked at it in 50 years, every person would go, what? Even people who have been divorced for 20 years might still look through some old photos in the wedding album. But we don't look at the gold? Everyone would think that's insane. How is that remotely possible? So let's actually go take a look. I think it's a very good idea. If the gold is there, great. And if it's not there, we have questions. This is Tony Katz today. guys, welcome back. Tony Katz. Good to be with you, Tony Katz, today. Let's see if I can get some things together right here. Grab that. Let me grab this right here. Oh, don't tell me he deleted this too. There we go. Now I got the whole thing. Good. So I have to get that all together. Add this. "30 seconds heard." 30 seconds, so we're back to the radio show right there. Yeah, people are nutty. I'm going to prove this to you right here, right now. This about what's been going on with planes. It's anything to dunk on Trump. Quite literally, it doesn't matter what you do. You can make fun of the dead. You can hope more people die. It's crazy. We're back to the show. Let's catch up with that right here. So we had the Black Hawk that crashed into an American Airlines regional jet. 67 people dead. Horrific story. Flying too high, didn't have certain security or safety features turned on. There are a lot of mistakes that were made. This was preventable. This was avoidable. And it should have been. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Then we've had one or two other instances. Now, most people are talking about what took place with that Delta Airlines flight that literally landed upside down in Toronto. The video is nuts. The video is insane of this crash. Because what happens is that the plane there in Toronto on the snowy afternoon, it was like 2:15 in the afternoon, the plane touches down, but doesn't touch down like you would expect a plane to. It doesn't hit with the rear wheels, the rear landing gear, and then fall, if you will, to the front gear. It's almost as if it hits at the same exact time. And in hitting at the same time, the landing gear itself breaks. When the landing gear breaks, the plane kind of leans over to its right, and the right wing gets sheared off and then catches fire. When that happens, the plane turns over. It is a sight to behold as this plane lands, hits Fireball, and then topples right over. From the time that plane touches ground to the time it turns over is, total 180. That plane was turned, it landed, it came to a rest on top, was less than 5 seconds. It is remarkable. When I say remarkable, for the people who believe in miracles, it is a miracle that anybody survived the thing. That those people are all alive is absolutely unreal. And we should be thankful that they're okay. That's what normal people do. Then you have Joy Behar at The View.
Because there's incompetence and chaos going on, and we should not put up with it.
Well,
and by the way, egg prices are supposed to come down, not airplanes.
Well, let me
because there's incompetence.
Egg prices are supposed to come down, not airplanes. Never, ever miss an opportunity to be despicable, political left. This was in Canada where this accident took place. The plane did take off from Minneapolis. This has nothing to do with the FAA. Absolutely nothing to do with the FAA at all. As a matter of fact, the whole argument that somehow Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary, has come in and Trump has come in and they're cutting this and they're cutting that, they're cutting the other. Let me bring it to Scott Jennings.
I can only tell you what the Secretary of Transportation says. There are 45,000 employees at the FAA. We're talking about fewer than 400 people, and he says 0 air traffic controllers and critical safety personnel were let go. So if that's true, I don't really have a problem with it, to be honest with you. I do like the idea of keeping the people who are in the direct chain of command of safety and the air traffic control system and so on and so forth. But I have a hard time believing that there is a single government agency that doesn't have a bloat of administrative personnel that we could probably do without. And I think that's why a lot of voters are happy that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are finally going through the federal government and trying to take out some of this bureaucracy that we probably just don't need. So I'm reading to you what Sean Duffy says. He's the Secretary of the Transportation. I have no reason to doubt his numbers. Except for referring to him as Secretary of the Transportation, I thought Scott Jennings there on CNN did a good job with that explanation. These positions haven't been cut. There have been no radical cuts that have led to people being killed or air traffic controllers being off the job. And that Pete Buttigieg now wants to open his mouth. What was done to shore these things up? But even if we were to take a look month to month basis, Biden's first month versus Trump's first month, it was Sean Davis at the Federalist who reported out that it was Biden who had 94 airline-related issues in his first month, Trump 50. It's too many. By a giant degree. It's too many. And I can only imagine that it's going to affect airline travel. It doesn't affect the people who are absolute ghouls. This brings us to Mehdi Hassan. Mehdi Hassan was an MSNBC host. Mehdi Hassan, in my view, is an apologist for the worst of the worst. This is a guy who takes the side, in my view, of Hamas. This is the guy who takes the side of radicalism over what is a free and thinking world. Mehdi Hassan proved himself to be bad at his job at MSNBC, which is saying something when you're bad at your job at that network. And Mehdi Hassan continues to put himself in a place of being amongst the most Western-hating, America-hating, and certainly Jewish-hating people out there. This was his post. There was, in addition to this thing that took place in Canada, there was a plane crash in Georgia, a small plane, and 2 people were killed. Mehdi Hassan, hearing that 2 dead in a small plane crash at Georgia's Covington Airport,
puts out a post on Twitter that reads, "Make American planes crash again." Because it's all about Trump, right? Anything to bag on Trump. People are dead. Let's go smack Trump around. Oh, yeah, let's hit on Trump. Anything to hit on Donald Trump. Anything at all. And we'll get into why. And we've discussed some of it, that they don't have anything else. They don't have a policy. They don't have anything. Ed Morrissey of hotair.com will be with us a little bit later. There's a reason Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the Democrats in the House, is having such a hard time fighting back against the Republicans. And we'll get to that. But this is Mehdi Hassan. Make American planes crash again. It's hard to be more disgusting. I mean, Joy Behar is clearly trying. Joy Behar clearly wants to be on top of the disgusting pecking order.
Because there's incompetence and chaos going on, and we should not put up with it.
Well,
and by the way, egg prices are supposed to come down, not airplanes.
Well,
I mean, she wants this. Egg prices are high, by the way, because we're killing millions and millions of chickens and hens. Bird flu. We're killing these chickens and hens, and we never once figure out or ask ourselves, is there a better way to deal with this? Well, people noticed what Mehdi Hassan said, and rightfully so, and called him the disgusting, despicable lowlife that he is. I apologize for nothing. There's no value to this hateful soul. He responds, "I deleted this sarcastic quote tweet because MAGA and Islamophobic folks are clipping it out of context and trying to ridiculously suggest I'm inciting violence." No one is saying you're inciting violence, although someone may have posted that on the socials, right? You can never say with 100%. What the vast majority of people are saying is, you're disgusting. You took a look at a plane crash and said, hey, now's a good time to bag on Trump. Aren't I cool? I wrote myself a mean tweet. I'm so funny. Follow me on the Twittix. People are dead. You wanted to hit on Trump. You're a ghoul of a human being. And what does he say? I deleted this sarcastic quote tweet because MAGA and Islamophobic folks are clipping it out of context and trying to ridiculously suggest I'm inciting violence. First, to the idea of Islamophobic, would you stop? You're not that special. That you may be a scumbag doesn't make you special. Secondly, Islamophobia is not a real thing. It's not. It's a made-up word. Trying to, and what it's meant to do, it tries to put people in a box, in a corner, to silence them or shame them. Your post had nothing to do with religion of any type. It had to do with the fact that you're disgusting. You're disgusting. You took a look at the deaths of 2 people from an airplane crash in Georgia and said, I'm going to use their deaths to my political advantage. You're a disgusting person, Mehdi Hassan. It has nothing to do with religion. That you threw it in there was this like act of trying to shield yourself from any criticism. Oh, it's because of religion. I have met plenty of scumbag Christians in my life and plenty of scumbag Jews. You don't think there are scumbag Muslims in the world? Because there are. There are. There are 2 sides of the bell curve, Mehdi Hassan. There are scumbag gay people and scumbag straight people. And there are scumbag white people and scumbag black people. You know, there's some Latvians out there, total scumbags. I won't even discuss the Laotians. You want to get into the Colombians or the Peruvians? Israelis? A couple of scumbag Israelis out there too. Oh, and as for the Lebanese, yep, there's some scumbag Lebanese as well. There's also plenty of good people. 2 sides of the bell curve. I cannot wait till they try and manipulate the audio here. I cannot wait until they try and use that and don't use it properly. That's going to be a joy. That defamation suit, oh, so much money gonna come my way. This is reality. Nobody was discussing you regarding Islam. This post saying Islamophobic, folks, this is all fraud. This is a lie. You said something disgusting. You got called out for it, and you don't like that you got called out for it. You do admit, but this tweet was in poor taste, poorly worded, and has allowed people in bad faith to call me a terrorist, with one New York Post reporter CCing the FBI. So I deleted it. Meanwhile, the right wants to silence all journalists while crying free speech. No, they do not. So again, you are lying. I think if someone called you a terrorist for it, that's super weird, but it does kind of look like you might be cheering planes crashing. I don't think you want that look. But don't blame anybody but yourself. You wrote it. You posted it. You could have taken a second. You could have taken a breath. You could have said, should I? Right? You could have just looked at it. You're going to hit enter right there on the phone or on the keyboard. Should I be doing that? Should I be posting? You could have done that, and you didn't. Because dunking on Trump was more important to you than anything else. Dunking on Trump was more important than your decency. And then when caught in being indecent, you engage more in decency and claim this is an attack about religion or an attack on free speech of journalists. Mehdi, I don't call you a journalist personally. You did it. It was the scumbag thing to do. And honestly, it's all I expect from you. I'm Tony Katz. Oh, you know they're going to use that against me. You know that's coming. Let them try. Let them try. It's true. There are two sides to the bell curve. There are terrible people of all types, and there are great people of all types. Who doesn't know this? It's always fascinating when people are like, no, everybody of this said group is perfect. No, that is not rational or reasonable. That is money. That is nutty. Speaking of money, Republicans are pro-peace and pro not giving more money to Ukraine when they can't even keep track of it. We should not pay to fight a war that will not be won. Oh, listen to me very, very carefully. We're talking about Ukraine and Russia here. I've had some people disagree with me on my position. That's totally fine. I believe that Ukraine should be allowed to defend themselves, and I believe in supporting that defense with bullets and guns. Not at all with money. I would not have sent $1. I only would send the hardware. But this peace deal is coming. This peace deal is absolutely coming. Hold on. Andrew has spoken. I find it especially amusing that Trump defense team claims that Musk is not behind DOGE. The dishonesty of the entire MAGA movement is astounding. Meanwhile, Trump is giving Putin everything he wants because they're the weakest team in U.S. history. Andrew, you have to stop. You have to stop. You lost. And you have not been able to handle this well. You are emblematic right now of the party. Giving Putin whatever he wants. It's an interesting take. You act like you're going to stop him. You act like the Democrats could have stopped him. The Democrats sent money that got wasted. The Democrats certainly favored sending support. We agree on that. But no part of Joe Biden's plan was about stopping Russia. As a matter of fact, it is well documented that all Biden was afraid of was escalating the situation. Do you honestly think you could stalemate Russia for forever when they just have the bodies to throw at the problem? Did you think that by doing this, you could decide Russian foreign policy? Andrew, are you a child? Russia would keep going until Russia took the country. You don't get that? You don't see that? Giving Russia what they wanted Russia was only amazed that Ukraine was able to get more bullets and more guns. Sadly, we sent money that totally did get wasted. And you can't track, etc. You seem to live in a fantasy world where somehow if you wag your finger and say, don't, well, okay, I guess we're not going to do that. Except Biden said don't to Russia and don't to Hamas, and he went 0 for 2. Don't is not a foreign policy. And Andrew, your take here is valueless. Just like this one. Why are Republicans pro-Russia? Valueless take. You can argue that what you're seeing from some on the political right is this recognition that Ukraine isn't great. I think that's a legitimate argument. But pro-Russia, that's special. And that argument has been used. And that argument has been found wanting. And Andrew, I find your argument wanting. Joe Biden didn't stop a war. Joe Biden allowed it. And allowed it to get this far. You don't know that? You don't see that? Well, that's what happens when you're an ideologue. That's what happens when you're part of a cult, Andrew, and you shouldn't do that. I mean, I'm glad you're listening to the show. Because if anything, I mean, you don't have to agree with me 100% of the time. That's totally fine. But if anything, maybe it'll help you get out of the cult mindset, which is always a good thing. Absolutely is. All right, so we're coming back to the show, and we've got a short segment here. And then we're going to take the break, and then we're going to keep going, right? Because we do this with the radio show. So they take the break, so we take the break. It's just the way it works. And then I'm in D.C. Tomorrow. It's going to be a good time. I will tell you all about it. Hold on a second. Where in the world is it? CPAC, people, the Conservative Political Action Conference. I will be there. Tony Katz today. We're going to be in D.C. This is going to be Thursday and Friday of this week, the Conservative Political Action Conference. We're going to have the interviews with the politicos. We're going to talk to the people. We're going to see what's going on. Where are the activists? Are they really down with DOGE? Do they think Trump is moving too fast, not fast enough? What would they like to see next? We're going to have it all. Every last bit of it I'm going to have for you because we are going to be there at the Conservative Political Action Conference in Washington, D.C. Great sponsors, HoosierHope.org. Thanks to them. Americans for Prosperity and Premier Arms, PremierArms.com. PremierArms.com. These are your firearm professionals right there. For anything that you need, you can check out what they do. Looking forward to it. Thursday and Friday, we are going to have it all for you. We're going to be live streaming, doing the whole thing. So catch us then. Much more to get to. This is Tony Katz today. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. There it is. There it is right there. CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference. I had to take the screenshot. Look what they did to my arm. Look what they did to my arm. They took my thumb, Charlie. That's not cool. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a very, very, very good time. So I will be there for that. Right now, we're going to take the break. By the way, thank you for noticing. The hair is better, but it's not perfect. Not perfect. Also, I didn't know. Like, I thought I had the camera set. Like, look at my. So this is sound deadening right here. So I can't tell if it's the backlighting I have or is it like going up like this, like that. Shoot. By the way, the watch. You're not crazy. That's Wu-Tang, people. It's Wu-Tang. So like I gotta adjust it because this is straight. So maybe the camera's just a touch off. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe no one else sees it but me. It drives me crazy. My OCD and I didn't know it. Someone should have warned me. Anyway, we're going to take the quick break because the radio show is taking the break. Glad that you're here. More to get to, and we will be right back. That's the plan. It's going to be pretty groovy. So if that don't beat all, catch this. My home station carries the show, and then the radio show, and then brings it out to our affiliates. All of their internet just went down. So I am I feel like Letterman. Just toss that right there. So it turns out we're not on radio right now. We're not on. That is frustrating. So luckily we always keep a little bit of a best of, ready to go. And I'd already, sometimes I have a chance to do some recording and get some things done. So I happen to get some things done. Oh, that stinks to high heaven. That is, it happened during the break, which is just cuckoo that it happened during the break. It did. First of all, Kenneth, it is not Trump's fault. Don't be silly. So picture what happens here with what it is that I do. Cigars still work. So what happens is that I do the show, right? This is my home studio, right? Built this home studio, cigars, the whole thing. And then it goes to my home station, and then it then gets sent out to our affiliates. And I'm fortunate to have affiliates, and we're trying to build a thing, and none of it's easy, but you do what you can. We're growing it, doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing. So from there, as I said, it goes out. The internet is gone. That's what we're hearing. And because of that, they can't get me. They can't connect to me, so they can't send me out. So we're going to try a couple of other things. And that means I'm going to have to go from here. This wasn't my plan. But sometimes the tech implodes is the way it is. So you guys, I want to keep going, but I got to get this done. Oh, and by the way, there's nothing I could do. I could just be ready and maybe try some other options of connectivity. So you're loved. And we're going to be, so tomorrow I'm out. Tony Kinnett is in. So no live stream tomorrow, but Thursday and Friday, we are live streaming from CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference. And it's going to be fantastic. So I'm looking forward to that. I will have it all for you. Happens, right? I live in a world of tech. Weird things do happen. So, and no, I do not think this is, DOGE scrutinizing me. Libertarian Dragon. I don't think that's it. What, you want me to just stay? I just stay on the stream? I'll stay on the stream. I'll see what I can do and see if we can hook up another way. That is so weird. I must admit, this is a first. I have never, ever. I mean, there have been times where things have gone down, right? There have been times where like there'll be a connection issue, but that's usually a quick, the everything going down. Now I got to ask a question. Can anybody there good check what is it, down detector or something like that? Is this are there nationwide outages going on right now? Because once something goes down, is it one issue, or is it a cyber attack, or whatever the case may be? That's the question. Which one is it? That is nutty. Look at this. Jen, I think Jen wants to be my agent. As they say in showbiz, the show must go on. The show is going on. I was sharing with you what's happening, but I got to actually do the work to get the thing taken care of. I love it. Now I want you to check. Yeah, no. I have my internet at home, which is weird because if I have two backups. I pay for more internet than any human being I know of. I have two. So I always check myself first to make sure I'm not the issue. I'm just seeing if there are any like nationwide outages. So it could just be them. Oh, that's rough. That is rough. Guys, let me go handle the thing. Let me go do the thing. You're loved. I appreciate you. I'm not here tomorrow. I am back on Thursday. We'll be at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference, and I'm looking forward to it. I will catch you then. Follow, like, do all the things. You're appreciated. You really are. I'll catch you later.